All right, Jared, looks like we are live. You want to get started?
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining our YouTube Live today. Greatly appreciate you all being here. My name is Jared Feig. I am a manager of strategy and business development at IMG Models. I am joined by 6 of our IMG model talent that helped create NFTs for this project, as well as Mark Beckman, CEO and runner of the Truesy platform. I think I'm just going to go around and introduce everyone. We have RJ King, Charlie Becker, Nyo Malik, Oslo Grace, Eric Rutherford, Richie Shazam, and Mark Beckman. Unfortunately, Patrick Balaga, who participated in this project as well, couldn't be with us as he is currently in Europe. So I just wanted to introduce sort of what this partnership is. So 7 IMG model talent have teamed up with Truesy, a curated and eco-friendly NFT marketplace, to mint their first ever NFTs in celebration of Pride. The hashtag Model Pride NFT series debuted on Truesy.com this past Monday in a group gallery that aimed to shed light on the diversity of LGBTQ plus experiences while inspiring fashion fans and digital art collectors to embrace the spirit of Pride all year around. So now I want to go actually straight to Mark. And could you just explain to our audience what an NFT is and how they came about?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We'll keep it really simple. For the sake of this discussion, we create an NFT, which is a non-fungible token. It's an acronym for non-fungible token, which essentially provides the owner with verification that the artwork that they're buying from everybody here today is authentic. It validates the authenticity of the artwork. It cannot be replicated. And as you're aware, Jared, we're only offering this artwork for a finite period of time. Once the period closes, this artwork will no longer be available. It will be minted at that point in time on the blockchain permanently and immutable. And the collectors will have the artwork to keep it and present it. And if they like, even resell it at a future time.
Great, thank you. And, I would like you to tell us the importance of storytelling on the Truesy platform. Obviously, this project was storytelling through the lens and eyes of LGBTQ plus members of society. But if you could just expand on that a little further. And I think he is frozen. So I will wait until he unfreezes or corrects his technical issue. On that end then, let's get into the talent that helped create all these amazing NFTs. I am just gonna go around based on what blocks are sort of next to me, so no specific order. And right next to me, I see RJ and Charlie. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about what you guys created?
So basically RJ created the whole thing. I just basically was naked and got my picture taken. All I had to do was just hang out and have fun running in a sprinkler. Basically, I don't know if anyone can see our NFT right now, but it's a black and white photo of RJ spraying me with a hose. I am in the birthday suit. And it's not that uncommon for me to be in my birthday suit. We live out in the country on 20 acres in a small town called Cornwall-on-Hudson. We actually moved here in January. So it's very, we moved during COVID and it's very open. And, it gave us a sense of freedom to be together. We're a COVID relationship. So we started dating in a pandemic. And originally we were in the city. And I had a roommate, so we were always like with someone else. And coming upstate, we really were able to get in tune with each other and learn how to depend on each other and grow together in a relationship during the pandemic. And I think that this photo is a great representation of our relationship. And RJ actually posted the photo on Instagram a couple days ago. and he was talking about how I'm smiling in the photo. And if anyone here, follows me on Instagram, they'll know that I do more, like when I'm taking a photo, I have more of a serious model face or whatever you want to call that. But in reality, I smile a lot. I laugh a lot. I like to, I like to show my joy. And you don't get to see it. Like, people don't see that a lot from what I, from what I post on my Instagram. So it was, it's a really special photo to me because it was taken by the person who, who I love most in my life, and like my right hand, my everything. And yeah, and it's, I'm in a vulnerable spot. I'm completely naked. And like, I don't, I don't let people shoot me naked except for him. So to me, it's about like, vulnerability, growing together, and just like, normalizing queer relationships, because we also have a YouTube channel, and through that YouTube channel, we're able to normalize, what we aim to do is to kind of normalize gay relationships and be like, look, like, we're just like everyone else, but we're gay, and we, I don't know. You can.
I mean, for me, I wanted to capture Charlie in like a very, in like a moment, a moment that like, that I see him in. And for me, it's his smile. Like, his smile, it screams joy, it screams pride. And that's what I wanted to get out of it. So I grabbed a hose and I sprayed him down with freezing cold water to get this reaction out of him that you can see in the picture is very pure. And to me, like, that is a really intimate portrayal of our relationship. It's very us, and it's playful. It's prideful. It's sweet. It's Charlie. So yeah, that was our thought going into it, was we wanted to capture something that like really shows our connection with each other. So that was what that was.
It was really beautiful. Thank you guys for sharing that. Next up, Niyo, if you could just tell us a little bit about your piece, please.
Cool. I hope you can hear me. My piece was pretty much just like RJ and Charlie's. I think kind of just celebrating queer relationships. I specifically chose to do me and my partner because I feel that as queer relationships are becoming more mainstream, we don't really see many Black, and I think specifically darker skinned people who are in queer relationships celebrated. I think the only times that I can even think of like queer relationships in television are when it's either an interracial couple or if it's a super conventionally attractive, racially ambiguous couple. So this was my way of kind of championing our relationship without really seeking validation. My inspiration was this novel Native Son, which kind of, if you look inside, it's pretty much saying native sons, now kings. It's kind of really just celebrating Black queer love, because so often it's kind of shunned in society. And we even see this with Lil Nas X, where it's like he's the first dark-skinned queer person that we have that's actually being celebrated, despite us having hundreds of talented artists throughout history. So hopefully this like sets a precedent for other dark-skinned Black, Latino artists that want to champion their relationships without really seeking that validation of, okay, it has to be palatable for the masses. And I'm in love, so love is super inspiring.
And can I just say, when I asked Niyo to participate in this project, there wasn't a lot of instructions. It just create an NFT and it should relate to pride. 3 days later, he DM'd me that. And I was like, whoa, mission accomplished. Great. So thanks again. Next, we're going to go to Oslo, who really touched me with his piece.
Well, thank you, Jared. Yes, so hello, I'm transgender. So cool, that's good. And so part of having like cool like trans representation in this whole project is this piece that I created, which is like basically a shot of my torso. And the reason that I chose this specifically as a trans person is because I think for trans people, kind of entirely, but I think I'll just speak for myself. There's a lot of energetic weight that's held in your chest, no matter who you are or where you're coming from or whatever your story is. There's just a lot of energetic weight held in the chest of a trans person. It's just like, it's just pretty like solidly built into any type of like narrative. But specifically for me, you can see like my top surgery scars like around my areolas there. And so to like have this surgery done and portray that proudly is like one of the greatest acts of self-love that I could ever do. And advocating for myself in order to get that surgery, and then looking at my body and being proud of what it looks like, and also remembering that it wasn't always like that, and it wasn't always something that I was excited about and happy about. And the fact that it is a sort of a blurred shot in motion, as I think Charlie mentioned, also just like lounging in my birthday suit at all times, because healthcare and accessibility has allowed me to create like this identification with my own body that feels comfortable. And so I think that's why like access to healthcare and all of that kind of stuff, and like even mental health care, which I know the Trevor Project really dips into, is so important, and especially important to trans people. So self-portraits are also just a major act of self-love that I love to do on almost a daily basis, because of how affirming it is. And I wouldn't have had that without this affirming healthcare and mental health care that trans youth need all over the world.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing it with everyone, really with the world now on the website as your NFT. Next, we are going to Ritchie, whose piece was so fun when I received it, and really just lovely. And the second I saw it, I was like, that's the one, you got to do it. Please talk about it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Richie, and I'm so excited to be here and to speak about my NFT. So a little backstory about it. I sort of dabble in a lot of collage work, and I have really, in this past year of the pandemic, have really been looking at my body of work that I create. I do a lot of self-portraiture and really finding ways to blend everything. And a really big part of my ethos is taking risk. And what pride means to me is, unabashedly being myself, no matter what. And within this month comes a lot of self-reflection and reflection on dealing with familial rejection, dealing with a lot of the negatives of being openly queer and visible, and making sense of it. And as a brown, non-binary, trans femme individual, it's very heavy, when you're constantly looking at all of the intersections of who you are and really finding the beauty in all of it and the strength and being courageous and being fearless. And I love creating things. I love playing characters and constantly in a state of transformation and motion. And I think that it's very important for young people, and not necessarily just young people, but people of all generations, to see us and be inspired, and also to have that strength and courage to take risk and to be who they want to be, no matter what the circumstance may be. But, really getting out of that fear. And first, it's that mental and spiritual fear that's very taxing, and, doing things that are safe and that, won't, we're constantly triggered and we're constantly put in these spaces that we want to break free from. And I think that it's important to find your tribe, find your chosen family. And so this NFT for me is really, I'm wearing this really insane wig. I'm also, next to nothing, like really loving my skin, and really that process of one loving their skin and it being you know, about time. It takes time. It's not something that you just snap your fingers and you're like, oh, I'm comfortable. And that's why I think, you know, this Model Pride series is really cool, because I find myself to be a vessel of a message that's a lot larger than myself. You know, I know I can be fab, I can be fierce, I can be all these things, but it's about my insides and me being comfortable with myself and with my skin and being able to shine true with anything that is put in front of me. And I think that this NFT is really cool because it's like I'm in motion and I'm constantly shifting and changing, and we're not in these categorical like boxes, you know, we want to break free from that. And I hope that, you know, whomever sees this knows that they too can be free, and it's not just within the month of Pride, it's all year round. And that's very, very important. And for us as queer creators, and especially brown and Black creators that are queer, it's like owning our lens and knowing how important it is and how important it is for us to be seen, to be heard, and to be amplified. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing. And then lastly, but obviously certainly not least, Eric, if you could please talk about your project or piece.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric. How are you? It's a joy to be here. It's a joy to be with all of you. One, I love all your pieces, by the way, and everything that you've shared today. Listen, I think, one, I'm proud to be a part of this group, and I'm proud to have done, to share my Model Pride, because I think one of the greatest things that we could do, certainly as individuals, but as a tribe, is to show up for each other, and show up individually, and to love ourselves, how we express ourselves. Because, you know, that's the beauty of us, that we all are different. And the reason I chose to do the NFT that I wanted is because for the Trevor project, you know, that's me at 15, and I came out. I stepped into my truth at 15, and it didn't go well when I initially went out. Because the people, my family was afraid, they didn't understand. Again, I'm older than most of you all. I'm 53 right now, and it was back in the 80s, and so it was a very different time. It was very scary, and yet I knew it was something that I needed to do for my own truth. And so that's why I wanted to talk about 15 in fear, but at 53 and free, you know, it's certainly taken time. We've talked about the time and stepping into that, and you know, and one of the reasons that I love with the Trevor Project is you're there. The Trevor Project is there for those moments of crisis, those moments of feeling alone, those moments of who do I turn to? And they provide that service, they provide that ear. And I think that's why this being a part of Pride and showing up and sharing our visibility in all its shapes and forms and beauty, as Ritchie says, because we all are beautiful, in who we are and how we express ourselves. And there's room for us all. So, you know, one of the great things that I feel, certainly in the artist community, more and more so, is finding those LGBTQ artists that are expressing themselves freely, and how all of you have taken your lives and your joy and your beauty and your love and expressed it, and expressed, you know, what you've gone through and the evolution of self. Because, you know, when you first are discovering about yourself and who you are and who you love and how you want to be in this world, it can be frightening, you know, and that's why I believe the work that the Trevor Project does is important. And there's so many other organizations as well. And that's why, Mark, I love that you have come about with this idea for us to participate in, because again, I think the more we can talk, the more we are open, that's one of the reasons I love social media. You know, Charlie, you talked about Instagram, you know, and the more that we share ourselves on social platforms, which all of we do, and we do so well. And Jared, that's why I think it's fantastic that IMG is partaking in this, is because the more that we talk, the more that we reach out to people and a big platform, or even one-on-one in a DM, right? The more that you realize that you can find your tribe, you can find your place in this world, and that you are beautiful just the way that you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric. And as I stated earlier, Patrick Balaga, who participated in this project as well, unfortunately could not join us, but he did a song piece. So please go on to the Truesy.com website and check that out as well. After hearing all of your piece, hearing you speak about all of your pieces, what I realize is they all deal with the concept of time in a sense. Charlie and RJ and Oslo and Niyo's are all moments of time. Eric's is over time. Ritchie's is, metamorphosis, and it's a weaving through time. And I just really appreciate the authenticity of, the concept of an NFT as someone's buying ownership in something, and to allow consumers to own a moment of your life and something that relates back to your pride. I just think is really important. So just thank you all for your authenticity. And then so almost going off of that, talking about the importance of time, Eric mentioned this a little bit, it's important to champion pride, not just in the specific time, not just the month of June. Of course we could celebrate it in June, but we should advocate for it in July. We should fight for it in August. Allyship, must always be on. And so Mark, do you actually want to talk about how sort of NFTs live and continue on, and how this will move through, the future?
Sure. Well, first, Eric, I want to tell you and everybody else in the room right now that this was just as much Jared's idea, if not more, than Truesy's. Jared and IMG Models have been amazing partners of ours, and it's been an amazing, truly collaborative effort. And Jared personally has taken on a Herculean effort in trying to bring this all together through the entire organization. He really deserves a lot of credit, if not all of it. So I want to give Jared, a big thank you on my side. Thank you, Jared. As far as
Thank you.
Yeah, as far as the technology goes, it's really fascinating. Truesy is built in a way, we call it internally the 500-year piece of artwork. It's built in a way where this is not a digital file. This is not a JPEG. People aren't buying just another little image on a screen. We've built this so that it will outlast all of our lives. It will outlast our computers, our servers. It literally will be something that should outlast all of us. That's how the technology is built. And it's interesting because we're still in the top of the first inning with the first batter, and it's the first pitch as it relates to this technology. So the truth is that your artwork that we're featuring and talking about today really could have a lot of value in that it's very personal to you. They're all magnificent and beautiful, but then also for the business sector, imagine finding early artwork in a cave in France. I mean, that's really where we are right now with this. So for investment purposes, if anyone out in the viewership is thinking about investing in NFTs, this is a fantastic moment in time to get involved with these lovely human beings as well. So that's the idea, Jared. And then as you're aware, and we were talking about this earlier collectively, Truesy's commitment extends really beyond Pride and June. We really want to be here to embrace the entire community and this cause long term. We welcome your ideas. We welcome everybody to come to Truesy and contact us if they have compelling ideas to give back to the Trevor Project or beyond. We're here, and we're very welcoming on that level.
Thank you, Mark. And I really can't take credit because not even my idea. Maja Chiesi, our SVP at IMG Models, came over to my desk in the office and said, we should do Pride NFTs, right? And I'm like, great, let's do it. So this was a whole team effort. But I have to give it, really, it's about the talent here, 10,000%. You guys really, bared your soul and created such authentic pieces for the public to participate in. So again, just thank you all to that, or thank you all for that. Speaking in the digital world here, some of you, or more so really specifically Niyo, if you could just talk about some of the digital tools that you were able to use to sort of create your GIF. I thought was really great. Just the changing rainbow colors was so lovely.
Yeah, it was such a huge learning experience for me. My roommate's girlfriend, Sarah, she and I are really good friends, and I pretty much drew out a really, really rough draft of what exactly I wanted, and I couldn't really articulate how it would be done digitally. And she pretty much just sat down on using Procreate, which is kind of like a Photoshop-esque software. And within like an hour, she had this beautiful animation, and we just kept going back and forth like, okay, I want to change these colors, I want to add these words. And she's super talented. It's literally, we just sat down with an iPad using Procreate, and she brought my vision to life.
Love that. Well, I'm glad that we're all now able to, participate in new technologies. And Richie, you sort of went into your archive for this project. Can you speak about why you wanted to sort of look to the past rather than create something new for this project?
Yeah, I think also just understanding like the land of NFTs. I think, we're constantly creating content and like creating artwork that's being displayed on, Instagram like very freely, and we're not like owning it. And I thought that, for me to sort of examine and re-look at the work that I've done, that I take a lot of pride in, and I'm really proud of the things that I've been able to create specifically during the past year when, for so many of us, it was just really difficult being, at home and not really going about our lives in the same way. So in this sort of state of self-reflection, I was able to look at work that I wanted to exhibit and wanted people to in turn also own and have a part of. And I think that, I think within the landscape of NFTs, there is sort of a shortage of queer artists. And I thought it was really, really cool and really fascinating for us to, be seen. And I think that a little bit about this specific work, it's actually a still from a music video of my partner's that I was starring in. And I took a bunch of the stills from the video and sort of reworked. And I thought that within itself is really a part of the art practice, is taking what we have and repositioning it and re-examining it and giving it new life and giving it new meaning. So I thought that, within the form of collage, you can really take something and, see it differently. And that's why I thought it was really cool to sort of look within the archive, because I have a lot of work that I'll within the locomotion of Instagram crazy. It's like you post something, then it's over, and then it's like, it's a bit sad, it's not, it doesn't get to like live this like long like wingspan of like life or something. And I think it's really cool that we can show it. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. And clearly you are a professional fashion model, because each one of those poses alone could be a whole fashion campaign. So
thank you, Jared.
Jared, can I say something about Richie's work and comment, please?
Of course.
Okay. Richie, I was so thrilled to see that piece of art when Jared presented it, because you and I have a mutual friend who happens to be an art curator, and she presented that to my agency for a separate project we were working on. So I was really fond of it, and I was so pleasantly excited to see that that was the piece of art you were presenting. So thank you for sharing that with us on this project. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you have other stories that you'd like to share with us through your artwork, for sure, we welcome it. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Thank you. Oslo, I wanted to go to you for a moment, because when you texted me the image you were submitting for your NFT, you were very specific in keeping sort of the black edges around it and the filled space, which I really like, that you were so specific about the aesthetic of how your piece would show. If you could just talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, so I did keep this like black background around my already black and white image. And the reason I did that, and the reason that I actually kept it in black and white as opposed to in full color, is to kind of convey like what investing in an NFT would mean. And that's that essentially you are in a way like investing in the nostalgia of this thoughtful snapshot of time that will never be recreated. And so black and white just really honed in that, you know, years from now, when I'm like 60 or 70, I can look back at this image and it just, black and white does give you that sense of nostalgia. And, you know, as queer youth, unfortunately or fortunately, we have to live like every day like it's our last, because, you know, not all of us make it. And that's just like the sad fact of all of this. But I think that it can be something beautiful if we like consistently create from like our most authentic vision. And this was just, it felt very nostalgic to me, because like being young and in a body that I'm proud of is, and specifically like the NFT world, is something that is a very thoughtful snapshot of time, but that is also like ever evolving and ever passing us by.
I love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Charlie and RJ, you know, you guys are so big now on YouTube, a new video every single Wednesday. There's so much that goes into it. So you know, I was almost expecting like a short video for your NFT. Can you guys just explain sort of maybe why you went with just a simple, real, just extreme capture in time? You know, even the shutter speed where you could see the water going, it's like, it's such a slice of a second that you're able to capture.
Yeah, I mean, I like photography. So for me, excuse me, that is like an art medium for me. Whereas YouTube and videos, that's just like a communication tool, more or less. And so the photograph, I mean, freezing that moment, like Charlie's this like young, beautiful, you know, he's freshly out of the closet. Like it's this like pure, you know, moment in a gay relationship that, you know, people don't see often. And to me, it's just like, it's sexual, but it's also like not, I don't know. And so, yeah, I don't know, for me, photography and black and white, like that, to go back, the nostalgia of the black and white, that to me is, yeah, I don't know. I just love the picture.
Yeah. Also really quick, Oslo, you were pointing out that your body holds, you know, that your body is like very, very tied to your transition. And I never transitioned. But these past 4 years have been very transformative for me. 4 years ago, I was in the closet. I was in a fraternity. I was at University of Denver, hanging out with a bunch of frat kids, doing beer bongs, like living a completely different life than I am now. And that was like it was actually like a really dark moment in my life, because I didn't know my own identity. My parents were getting divorced, and my family was the only identity I had. And when that crumbled, I crumbled, and I actually was 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. And that's because I didn't take care of myself. Nothing, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, gaining weight is bad in any way, shape or form. But for me, it was, you know, it was me not taking care of myself. And now, like, you know, I've come out of the closet, and every day I'm still coming out of the closet, because it's going to be something that's the rest of my life. You know, coming out of the closet isn't just telling your family that you're gay. You know, it's something that I have to do every day when I go and get my hair and makeup done on set. How's your girlfriend? Oh, he's really good. You know, it's things like that. And like, you know, my body, looping back to like my body and that photo, it's like, you know what? Like, I'm happy. And like, you know, I'm proud of my body, and like, I fucking worked for my body, excuse my language. And like, I have come so far over the past 4 years, and you know, I have like the best person in my life, and it's pride, and I'm proud of it. And there is no reason of why I should not be proud to be who I am, because there's literally nothing wrong with me. And for my entire life, I put a part of me into a box, and I hated that part of me. I said I would rather die than be gay. You know, I did every single, you know, I would look up online and I would be like, how can I not be gay? Conversion therapy. Like, it got to that point, but there's no reason for that. Like, I am who I am, and it's not just sufficient. It's amazing. I'm amazing, and all of you are amazing. So yeah, sorry, I just like totally vomited all over the camera.
Absolutely nothing to apologize about there.
I think that this project really goes to that point. Is like, you know, getting visibility, right? Getting queer art out there. It adds to it, you know, just making it visible, all the different, you know, varieties and the range between this group right here. It's, you know, it's representation, and that's what we need. We need representation. So that hopefully, you know, our stories will align with people out there and connect with them, and will encourage them to, you know, to go forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Eric, I just wanted you, if you could touch on sort of what it was like recreating the image of yourself as a 15-year-old. You know, once we locked in the concept of you wanted a sort of morphing transition photo, you know, how was it setting up your camera, getting the shot to really match something from so long ago?
Well, yeah, it was so long ago. Thanks, Jared. I appreciate that a lot. I embrace my age. Yeah, listen, you know, first off, I want to say before going out and talking about setting up the shot, if I know it's coming across, but you know, so much of what has come out of these NFTs and is about stories, right? We all have a story to tell behind these NFTs. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things that anyone that's tuning in here now or follows either us on social or wherever it is, it's about sharing your story, you know, and not hiding behind it. You know, Charlie, you talk about what you went through. You're so ashamed. And also the story of your evolution, right? And Richie, all of us, right? There's a story to tell. And, you know, part of the reason, and I just launched a podcast about not just pretty pictures, because to me, we love, yes, create beautiful, pretty pictures, right? But it's the people behind the pictures. It's the story behind those pictures. And the more you share those stories, the more people connect, the more people see themselves, you know. And so, Jared, go back to your point. The reason I wanted to choose that picture and create that, me morphing from when I was 15 to where I am now, is because when I came out at 15, I knew it was my truth and it was time for me to come out. And for other people, it's not time, but for me, that was the time. But it was also met with great fear and anxiety, and I felt unsafe in my own home. And so that's also part of the reason why I'm going to show me now and recreate that image, because from that moment to here, I'm still here. I survived. I've survived a lot. And what I've also survived is I've grown into loving every aspect of myself. Yeah. And, you know, like Charlie just talked about, it's like there are still days where I'll have moments of having those same feelings of what it was like right before I came out, or walking into a room, or walking into a job, or am I going to get asked, or whatever it might be. But the beautiful thing is, in living in 2021 right now, is we have all these amazing, beautiful individuals here and out that are listening and watching, that we are sharing our stories, because it shows that we are not alone as we show up at jobs, or we're on social media, or we're looking to date someone, or we're still finding out and evolving our own identities, you know, and shedding. And, you know, someone brought up to me just the other day, it's, you know, we're perfect just the way we are. And Michelangelo looked at the statue of David, right? And what he did is he said, I only chipped away at everything that wasn't supposed to be there. So we already exist. It's just finding our way. And that's why, again, sharing the stories that we're sharing, and if these NFTs is, you know, part of the reason I wanted to say is too, it's so often, you know, it's especially coming out young, you know, and where do we fit in? Or is our family going to accept us or love us for who we are or whatever? Well, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. But if you stick around and don't give up, you know, because it can be, you know, particularly associated with the Trevor Project, they're there during those dark times. We are all here sharing to let you know it does get better. And I know every time it's like a bumper sticker or a t-shirt or whatever it might be, it's such an easy thing to say, but it's possible. All of us are representative of what it's possible to live a full, unapologetic life, and being out there, being queer, being proud in this community. you know? And so that's why I think it's so valuable that all of us are sharing those stories and the people are there to listen, you know?
No, absolutely. Could not have said it better. Look, this is coming to a close, unfortunately, as much as I love spending time and hearing all these stories. So just before we close out, is there anything else any of you would like to share before we officially sign off? Anything extra? Doesn't have to be. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Jared, I was going to jump in just because Richie brought it up, and I think Oslo did it too as well. And well, even Niyo with his piece, right? There is no right or wrong way to express yourself, as long as you're doing it, you know, and learn and do the work. And it takes work, you know. You may not get it right away, and people ask me all the time, like, I wish I could do this, or I would express my that, or write this way because I write as well, and or I want to paint, or I want. Just do it. To begin to take the steps. It's just like coming out, right? You take a little baby step, and then it's like, and maybe you take 3 steps back, and then you take another step, and each step gets bigger and better, and you become more comfortable. So that's why, again, love what Mark, what you all, and Jared, what you all have come up with in sense of having queer artists create work to express themselves. Again, there's no right or wrong way, just be authentic. So I think the more that we do this and share in this space, I think the more visible it becomes, and it encourages more people to do it.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Richie, Charlie, RJ, Eric, Oslo, Niyo, especially for creating your pieces, for joining us today and speaking about them. Thank you, Mark, for allowing us to partner with Truesy and helping launch this platform. Thank you to the marketing and production team at IMG Models for helping make this YouTube Live happen. And thank you to the audience for tuning in. If you haven't already, please head over to Truesy.com and check out all the NFTs by our model artists on the site. Lastly, again, just a big thank you to everyone that I could thank. Have a great afternoon, a great day, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're based at the moment. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.